What is up, Card Breaker Nation? How are we doing today? We got at this point, it's a special guest. He's not even on the show anymore. We got Chris in the building. What's up, Chris? How we doing? How's life been treating you?
What's up, Gilly? Been better. Got a house full of sick everybody. 2 month old also sick. Going about as well as it could.
For sure. How we doing, Swellington?
Uh, we doing, yo. We doing. Yeah. Tough loss last weekend, but ready to bounce back against the Lions. So let's get it. Let's get it.
Yeah, you think you're gonna beat the Lions? I know you guys are away, right? Or
No, they're home.
are you guys away? They're home?
We're home. Yeah, we're home. But
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of a better chance to beat them, in my personal opinion.
I don't know, just the way things been going. I don't know now. I don't know.
What do you mean the way things been going? You guys haven't been that bad.
Lost
Well,
two in a
we
row.
got blown up. We got blown up out of Bills, and then we had some.
You guys are sick.
We guys had some tough calls against the Dolphins. So
Oh
whatever way
yeah.
whatever way the script is written for the Lions game, I will accept it.
I will say this: watching that damn Giants game on Christmas, there was a script. There was 100% a script. There was DPI that was not called twice on that last drive. That was yeah. The rest did not. The rest wanted to get out of Philly alive. Is what I'm convinced there. That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
Didn't help that Tyrod threw a hospital ball to Darren Waller. That really did not help.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
for sure, for sure.
you,
Yeah,
you got
so
another
no, yeah.
chance.
Yeah, so no Tom today. Tom is actually currently on his way to the Browns Jets game. I know he's sitting pretty close, so you guys might see him on TV. You might see him on TV. So do we think Tom's doing face paint for the game or what? Do you think he's gonna go full Browns?
Tom is like barely a fan. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up in a Jets. My man went to a Yankee game with Swelly over here, but his own team. It's
Oh,
not like he went there. Like, I'm gonna just root for this team. He's a Guardians fan. The Yankees were
you
playing
got
the
yeah,
Guardians. Why do I get a
you got
picture of
scared.
him wearing a Yankee hat and a Yankee jersey at a
You
Guardian?
got scared, yeah.
Yeah,
My man got scared, yeah.
his excuse was he didn't want to get jumped by Yankee fans or get like
No,
getting. We're not. He's acting like Yankee fans are feral. We're not that feral. We're not that crazy.
Excuses
It's
are
the
like
no.
assholes.
Guardians.
Everybody has them, and they all.
Late late night in the Bronx after a game 5 elimination game. I
Bro,
don't
you
know,
knew damn
bro.
well the Yankees won that game.
Oh, I knew
Oh,
damn well the
I
Yankees were
knew they
I
winning
were
that
going
think
to
he
win
just
that
didn't
game.
want to be the one wearing the team that lost. He didn't want to wear the jersey of the team that lost. And he wanted to celebrate with everybody. He sees everybody celebrating. He wanted to celebrate with everybody. That's what it
I
was.
get
Uh,
that. All right. I get that. I get that.
I know.
yeah. We love Tom, but Tom, you gotta rip your own teams, bro. You gotta rip your own
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go right to the topics for this one. Topic number one: the 101 Tom Brady superfractor that got pulled actually already got graded, came back at PSA 9. It is currently on Golden as we speak. There's 10 bids on the card, and it is currently at $95,000, and it is going to be ending on January 13th. So, Chris, what do you think this card's going to end at?
I got no idea. The problem is people like new things. We see it time and time again with new products. My wife was asking earlier, which we'll talk about the card later that we pulled, the Bryce Young, spoiler
Mhm.
alert. But that card, she asked me how much do you think that card is worth, and it's like it's worth X amount now, but in a month from now, once it's old news, it's gonna decrease in value probably by like 50%. So where this will end at, and where I think it'll be worth, a year from now, could be two totally different numbers. But I mean, it's cool, it's fun. I'm not hating on it. If I had the money to buy a card like that, I would do it just to have it. But it's a sick card. It's a really cool idea that Topps had. So I'm not trying to be a hater, but yeah, I predicting the new market, like when things are new and in their first month, I it's impossible to predict to me.
Yeah, I had to guess for at 95,000 right now with 10 bids and like almost, probably like 2 weeks ahead. If I had to guess, I'm gonna think this card ends up somewhere around the half a mil range.
Whew. I mean, listen, you're probably right. The thing is, this also you have to keep in mind. I would hope that Topps doesn't do this again, right? Like the whole reason this is exciting and this is taken off is because I think people think they're not going to do this again. This is your only chance at getting a Brady auto. But what if they do it again, 5, 6, 10 years from now? That's gonna, you would think in theory, that's gonna crush the value, unless there's all of a sudden a surplus of new people in the hobby by then, which is possible with the way marketing's going and all that
Hmm.
from Fanatics. But if they do that and they don't have enough people to support these prices, it's gonna kill the value of this card.
Agree. Yeah, Daniel just said it got a 9 question mark and said 200K. Yeah, I see the 200K. I was being, I guess, a little bit optimistic on the pricing. It's Brady, so that's why Brady has a premium on him regardless.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, listen, it's a one
Yeah.
on one. If this is
Yeah.
the only, in theory, if this is the only baseball one of one Brady auto you're gonna get, then yeah, I mean the price is Brady. It's unique,
Yeah.
right? There's tons of football cards of Brady out there. Not a lot of his baseball stuff, obviously. So that's what makes this so special.
Yeah. If it's the only one.
If it's the only one, yes. Which for Tops, man, knock on wood, they've had some issues keeping
Yeah,
those
that's
one on
what I'm
ones under
saying.
wraps.
I
That's what,
think with Brady, I know there's like only 81 autos. I would hope that this is the only one on one, but I can't promise it. But definitely how stuff has been going. And on the subject of tops again, we are going to be talking about actually another one on one. The Paul Ski Super Fractal Auto got pulled out of the same product. This card was actually pulled out of a local card shop in Aberdeen, New Jersey, which is pretty close to us. It was pulled by a customer there and not the owners. Pretty cool sick card nonetheless. Anything Paul Skeens is gonna be hot right now. Paul Skeens was the number one pick in the draft, kid out of LSU. He's sick. His name is always in the news. He's dating Livy Dunn. He's a hot commodity right now. Paul Skeens is a hot commodity. And if I'm not mistaken, I was looking at some of his numbers in like double A, triple A, whatever it was. He's been doing pretty good. He's been producing.
I'm
He's
definitely
been
happy to
producing. He's gonna be
hear
sick.
how to pronounce his name. I did Bowman. Yes, it was the first Bowman I've ripped. Obviously, Tom's been ripping more than me with the baby and everything. That was my first time ripping, but we've been so slow with Bowman. I don't understand it. But anyway, it was my first time ripping a Bowman product, and I kept calling him Skenis or I don't know what I was calling him,
Yeah,
but
Skeens,
I'm
Paul
glad
Skeens.
to learn the pronunciation of. And listen, it's good to see that people remember, like, Brady. It gave a boost to the product, but it didn't like overshadow the product. There's still obviously other, like the nature of Bowman is chasing those prospects, and it's good to see people still want that and they still respect that, because I think that's one of the cool things about baseball. You may not have, NBA draft. It's easy. He gets drafted. He's a rookie that year. That's it. Same thing with football. Baseball is unique in that you're not sure when they're actually going to become rookies, if they ever will become an official rookie. So the first Bowman thing is always something I thought was really cool. It's definitely good to see, and good to see somebody pulled it in Dirty Jers.
Dirty Jers. Shout out Dirty Jers. Yeah, no, Paul Skeens is definitely going to be a hot name to be. That's going to be in the collector's market for baseball, in my opinion, in the next couple of years. His girlfriend, too. Did you see that leaf for Livy Dunn? That's the girl that he's dating right now, another LSU gymnast, social influencer, whatever you want to call her. Did you see that they're also they made a card of her with like a used like leotard or something that she wore for like the gymnasts? It's I don't know. It's kind of that's a little bit creepy if you ask me. It's wild as shit.
Not
Oh no,
surprising.
I would no, not surprising at all. I'm not shocked. Yeah, Lucky said he pulled his base off of a jumbo box. That's dope. Kind of bummed his stained glass isn't worth much because I had that one as well. Yo, those stained glasses that you pulled last night, those were sick. I like that insert a lot.
I like it too. What I didn't like is I think I pulled two out of one box, which, like, I know that sounds bad to say, but they should have made those a little shorter print. I don't know what the print run on them are, but the fact that, I mean, they're definitely not case hits when you pull two out of one box, but they could have done like one thing I've noticed with the comments and everything else, like, which I love the comments, guys. Please continue to comment on the shows and the clips. We love hearing feedback. We love having conversations with you guys about the hobby. But I did see a couple of comments of people who I think are true collectors, which are the core of the hobby, right? But a lot of people are complaining about the prices and all this kind of stuff. And I hear you. I totally hear you. Like, you want to be able to afford to be in this hobby. But at the same time, just remember, the easier the product becomes to get, the less value it's going to hold. What makes things valuable, like in this hobby and anything else in the world, is supply and demand. So as the supply goes up and there's not enough demand to meet that supply, the supply needs, the price is going to decrease. So, that's just one thing I wanted to throw out there. I've noticed a lot of people saying back and forth. I'm not saying that, you want things to be affordable. You want hobby shops to succeed and do well. But I've seen a lot of people complaining a little bit about some of the prices of even the tops products, who have like a stranglehold over their own stuff. I've seen people question it. And while I do understand, I also understand that some of the people that are in the hobby to look at it as an investment or at least as a hobby that they can get something back out of one day, the value is going to decrease if they make more cards, they make more anything. If they make things cheaper, make things easier to get, it's going to decrease the value of, say, this one of one that's going for 25K.
I agree. And while we're talking about prices too, that's actually a perfect segue into our next topic. I was looking at the recent sales of first off the line 2023 Prizm. Apparently, they're going for like 13, 15 for a single box on this. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Prizm's really expensive this year.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny too because I think I saw some breakers out there had like Prizm blasters out already, which is a little disappointing. I hate when they release the retail before the hobby, and I think when that happens, I think the reason that happens is because the Prizm got pushed back like 3 times. Right, we were supposed to have this Prizm before Christmas, then it was around Christmas, then it was after Christmas. So I think what happens is they sign these deals with Walmart, Target, whatever it is that's selling their stuff, and they don't want to push it back. So they keep, because if you think about it, if this would have came out, if Prizm Hobby would have came out the original release date, it would have made sense for the retail to be coming out right about now. We'd be about 2 weeks removed from the product releasing. So, what ends up happening is you screw yourself because the hobby doesn't come out until, in this case, next week, and you have Prizm blasters and all this already coming out. So it kind of lowers the desirability of people wanting this. So I was a little surprised to see people. I mean, it's first off the line. It's Prizm, staple product. Even without the autos of those players, you're still looking at, Bryce Young, Color Blast, and which like a CJ Stroud Color Blast, bro. Wild. Like, I'm wild.
CJ Stroud Color Blast is going to be going for at least shit. That's at least a 3K card, in my opinion.
I mean, it's funny too because by removing the auto from the box, you're really you're really increasing the value of those other cards. Because Anthony Richardson, right? You hit a color blast, okay, but you can also hit an auto. There's some guys out there that aren't so excited about the case hits. I don't know why you wouldn't. Color blast one of my favorite case hits, but anyway, some people just want the auto. When you know a guy like CJ Stroud, there is no licensed auto, then that reduces the amount of really solid cards you can hit from that player. So say if all was equal, Anthony Richardson, whatever card would be worth 1,000, and you call CJ Stroud a $5,000 card. Now the margin is even bigger because there are other cards Anthony Richardson has. There's autographs, other things you can chase. While with Stroud, that's it. It's just these short print cards. So
There's
you're
short
talking
prints and
about a big
patches, yeah.
margin. Right, patches.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of, I'm not a big cat patch guy either. But I've seen like the Stroud patches. They're actually going for a decent amount of change. It's actually surprising to me, like compared to like other people's patch cards, obviously.
And again, it goes back to supply and demand. There are less
Mm-hmm.
CJ Stroud cards that are quote unquote valuable. So the ones that are going through the roof. Because if you want something nice of CJ Stroud, this is it. The whole half is out. The autographs, the gold auto, the black finite auto, all those things don't exist here. So it's like supply and demand. You got less of his cards, it's going to increase the demand of his cards, which I think makes it a really good time to invest in those players.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, Lucky said I watched another Breaches poll. 101 fireworks seems super before I got to his chat. Yeah, beautiful cards. Watch these boxes fly off shelf and drive prices up. Yeah, these boxes are gonna fly off the shelves, but like Chris said, it's just disappointing that why is there retail out already?
Yeah, no, I
Why is there
agree.
retail out already? Like
I mean,
first off the line, that's fine. First off the line's fine because first off the line is when it's going live anyway. But retail, come on, man. It's just come on. And while we're speaking of Prism, we have our new releases topic, which is also Prism. So we're going to be still talking about Prism here. CK, I've been having a lot of people ask me, when are we dropping our pre-releases? When are we dropping our pre-fills?
should be either Monday or Tuesday of next week. Today's Thursday the 28th, so you do the math. But I'm pretty. First off the line came out now, so that's usually a week in advance. So I'm assuming release day is on Wednesday, or is it Friday? Was today the? Now I'm wondering, and it got me wondering. I think it's Wednesday, but I'd have to double check the date.
It's January
Yeah, I'm pretty
3rd.
sure it's Wednesday.
Yeah, January 3rd, which is
Yeah,
a Wednesday. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
look out for those Monday and Tuesday, guys. That's when
Monday
we're
and
ready.
Tuesday. In the meantime, I still have some sealed blaster cases. We could chase some case hits and mosaic. We've got Hit Parade Series 12 in, Card Breaker exclusives. Got one right here. We got this up. We got to get through all these bad boys, which are pretty sick, and should lead us right up into Prism. So I know the nation's excited. We're excited. And, again, a little butthurt that they released the retail before the hobby, but once we start opening some Color Blast, all will be forgiven.
And mangas too.
Oh, yeah, the manga.
Oh, now that I think about it, do we have a checklist out? I haven't looked. Do we have a checklist out for Prism?
That's a good question.
You should look that up. We could do like a live like reaction to like a checklist if we got a checklist up.
I can take a look at it real quick. Let me check.
Yeah, let's look at it real quick. I'm curious if we have a checklist. That'd be pretty cool. Gonna look on my end too. Yeah, because if we start seeing stuff in the wild, that means we usually might be getting some checklists going on Prism.
No, I don't see a full checklist.
Ah, that's upsetting. Yo, that might be a cool thing that we could do for the next week's show. We could do like we could look through the checklist and we could like talk about it with everybody also. It might be a cool little topic. Would you guys?
Assuming it's out though, even I know the product's going to be out by then, but that's still no guarantee that Panini's going to checklist. They've
Nah,
been
you're
real
right.
slow with that shit.
Right. They've been ridiculously slow with that shit. Yeah, no, I don't see one popping up either. Damn. Yeah, so hopefully next Thursday we could do that. That'd be cool. That'd be definitely real cool. All right, so for on to our main topic, me and you talked about this a little bit, so I'll let you have your opinion on this first. Are graded cards ruining the hobby for collectors?
Um, Hold on, let me just find the picture. I don't know why none of this stuff properly. Oh, there was no picture, right?
There was no picture for this.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. I'm sitting there getting mad at Facebook. Um, I don't think that it ruined it. I do think that the saturation. Remember, right there that COVID bubble. I can't talk right now. Right during that COVID bubble, we saw. I can't even remember the names of some of these other companies, but we saw PSA and Beckett both just pause. Right, they had to catch up. They were way too backlogged.
Yeah.
So
You
I
had
think
HGA that was out there.
right. So I think when that happened, number one, you've got people getting cards graded from every which company. They're just sending it, whatever. And then on top of that, it's great that PSA caught up, but then you saw an influx of PSA and Beckett cards coming in. So was that because of COVID? Probably. You would think that had to have something to do with it, right? Like, because people are bored, more people were in the hobby, so more people are sending submissions. They weren't prepared. But I don't think in the long term it's going to ruin it. I think that if anything, maybe it's normalized it. I think now people kind of expect to see it. Like a lot of times when you tell somebody you have this card, most people are going to just assume it's raw, but I think a higher percentage of people will assume it's graded. What's the first question that a lot of these guys are going to ask you nowadays? Going to be, oh, what grade does it have? Oh, well, I didn't get it graded. Oh, you didn't get it graded. So I think that if anything, it kind of normalized the standard of getting cards graded. I don't think it killed it. I just think that maybe there might have been a period where, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, again, supply and demand. What's going to hurt the hobby is, especially 2021 was the worst, bro. So with 2021 products, they printed the amount of cards to feed 2020's demand, right? Which is normal business practice. But they didn't account for the fact that half of those people that were in from 2020 were going to be out of the hobby. They were only in it for COVID. They were only in it because the values were insane. They saw an opportunity to make some quick money. So while there are more people in the hobby now than there was before COVID, there's definitely not as many people in the hobby that were in right in the midst of COVID. So then you take products and you set the prices for that 2020 demand, but you don't have that same demand in 2021. And what you ended up with is you actually overprinted 2021's cards. And we saw it the worst, bro. We had a real hard time getting rid of it. You started seeing blaster boxes and megas on the shelves, which you hadn't seen in a long time. And I don't necessarily think it's that people didn't want the stuff. I think that there was just so much of it. It was so easy to get your hands on. It was so easy to pull a T-Law Silver. It was so easy to pull those cards that I think that's kind of what killed it. So I don't necessarily think that the grading had any negative impact on it. I think if anything, I think grading is good for the hobby. I think grading overall is good just to know, especially nowadays with all the fakes, bro. You got artificial intelligence stuff, there's AI crap. You never know what these guys can do. You got
Yeah.
people that can print counterfeit money. You don't think they can make a counterfeit card? Easy. So even though it's not a perfect science, I think it's good for the hobby. The cards should be graded, especially the valuable cards. They should be graded, if anything, just to prove they're real.
I 100% agree on that. You know, as far as the grading aspect, you know, a lot of people come up with fakes, you know, and having like TSA or Beckett, to determine that, it's just I feel like that's better for the hobby, get those people out of here making that fake crap.
Yeah. Like you said with Beckett, not a lot of people are grading Beckett anymore because you're getting the same exact results from PSA and you're getting the same exact results from SGC. And with SGC, you're getting a fast turnaround. In PSA, it's always going to be your PSA 10. That's your king in the hobby. As for graded cards ruining the hobby, I could say yes and I could say no. I could say yes because there is an oversaturated amount on the market of just bullshit base cards, patch cards, whatever. Because I know a decent amount of people that they were just grading to grade. And even with these grading submissions like PSA has with the PSA collectors and all that, you need a certain amount of cards to grade it. So, PSA say, I know what they usually offer like what, 2022. I know sometimes it's like if you do like a group of 30, it's like 15 per card or whatever it is. So like, sometimes it's hard to get 30 cards of value that you're going to want to grade on your own. So that's where you're going to see some of this like random, like, you're going to get like a random Jalen Hurts mosaic base that's like a PSA 9. And like, and you're scrolling through eBay, you're going to see like so many slabs that are selling for less than the actual grading price because these cards aren't worth shit anyway when they're raw. And then when they get a bad grade, it's just, at this point, they're just encapsulated up. But for the collectors, at the same time, those cards that are oversaturated in the market, like so say for example, you're a big Eagles fan and you want a bunch of Jalen Hurts cards, and you want a sick Jalen Hurts card, and you're looking at this card raw, and you're like, damn, that's a cool ass card. I'd really like it a lot. But then like you go and you see a PSA 7 and then it's going less further than the raw. You just want the card in your hobby and you like how it looks. You just want the card in your collection and you just like how it looks. So it's good and bad for the hobby at the same time. For people that really don't care about grades and they want something just sick in their collection, the lower grade's fine. If you're looking for ROI or whatever, the higher grades are obviously better. And I know my internet went down, so I'm actually still going on my phone, but I don't see any of the comments right now. If you could get that up real quick, Chris.
Didn't have to free call it. My computer's maxed out.
Gosh. Yeah, no, it went bad. Yeah, no, my internet, it's been raining here all day, so it's just been all super crazy and all that stuff. I don't want to really mess with it because I'm on the call right now. So if you guys are replying, I am sorry. And if we can't get to it, I will literally, I'll talk to you guys after the show. I'll message you guys, all that stuff. My apologies about that. It's just my internet decided to take a crap at the worst possible time while I'm live.
The only time internets go out. That's when you post.
Yep. Yep.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I was like, it was even before the show. I was like doing whatever, and like I saw like my router like go red, and I was just like, oh great. I was like, here we go. Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think about the lower grades, like for just for
Um,
collecting
well,
purposes?
not for nothing, but like you mentioned, people that are just collecting and they don't care about the value, they just want the card. I think that makes it like a little easier for them to get their hands on the card for cheaper. I mean, if a guy's got a raw card, it should be worth more theoretically than a PSA 7. A PSA 7, you know, it's a 7. A raw card, unless there's something obvious, there's always that shot that it's an 8, 9, 10. You know what I mean? So if you're just a collector, somebody's got one raw, somebody else has a PSA 7, and you don't really care, you just want it in your collection. You have a strong argument with the PSA 7 to really beat the guy up and get a low price. Which like really isn't a low price because that's really what it's worth. Unfortunately, the grading we all know is it could backfire. If you come back with a shit grade, you just crush the value of your card. So there's always that, and it also leaves things like some people don't grade things because they're lazy. Some people don't grade things because they don't want to. It's just easier to move them raw. But if you don't care, then might as well take the 7 because there's more selling points on your side why this card is not worth what the comps of the raw card is. So, I think it's good. I think it's good for collectors.
Yeah, and a lot
Again,
of
so
people
like I
buy
don't
like
think that
a lot of
the
people buy
grading
sevens too. A lot of people, yeah, my
a lot of
bad.
people I'm not go ahead.
A lot of people buy like sevens and eights just to crack them and submit them to another. They submit it. So you have PSA 7, you submit it to SGC, and then it comes back in SGC 9. You're still making more money regardless.
I think something like that is more likely to have a negative impact on the hobby than the actual number of graded cards. Is how many companies there are and how. Listen, competition is always good in any business, right? You see companies do promotions to be competitive, which all in all is great overall. But when you talk about saturation, when you talk about things like that, if you had a card that, and this is really, has, I guess it has nothing to do with anything other than you're trusting humans to grade these cards, right? Because you could take a PSA 7, crack it, send it back into PSA, and come back with a 9. It's all about who's grading it that day and their perspective of the card. So I guess that doesn't really matter about the companies. See, my thing is like I don't think the grading was bad for the hobby. What was bad for the hobby was Panini getting greedy and overprinting. You know what I mean? Like to me, that was something
Mhm.
that kind of that hurt. The market had to correct regardless. They didn't have anything to do with that. When you have an influx of people coming into anything, it's going to jack the prices up, and the market's going to correct once everything settles down. The problem is they acted on those inflated numbers instead of trying to forecast the correction and trying to match the correction. Everybody and their mother knew the hobby was blowing up because of COVID, right? Everybody knew it was like, okay, it's because of COVID, right? Same thing with, Bitcoin, everything else, whatever you want. When people are home, they're getting paid money from the government. They're gonna find something to do with it. They're bored as hell. They can't go anywhere. They're gonna find something else to do. The economy is unstable, so you have investors, genuine investors, who are pulling their money out of other things, out of stocks, because they're uncertain with where things are going to go, and they're investing in something that they think is a little more stable, right? But and I know I keep going back to it, but because 2021 was a really rough year for us, and that was just Panini made us overpay for a lot of things, and there wasn't the demand to keep up with it, and we had to do a lot of fighting to get out of that hole. But yeah, overprinting is the worst. And if you want to kill the hobby, just print a million cards every year and don't give a damn about the short print counts, and that's how you kill the hobby.
Agreed. Totally agree. You saw it in the 90s. You saw it in the 90s.
That's right.
All right. So to go on a little bit of a later topic here than what we were just talking about, we're going to go into our buy, sell, trade as usual each year. I mean, each episode. So our first player we are going to talk about, arguably the MVP, Christian McCaffrey, the 2017 Prizm Silver, number 249 PSA 10, which has a pop of 1,209 over the last 6 months. has seen an insane growth of 112.01% over 127 sales. The average price in this time frame was $183.15. The low was $91. The high was $303.25, and the current price is at $299.99. As we all know, Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the league. There's really no debating it at this point. And he's been one of the best players overall. As of this podcast, on December 28th, on the ground, he currently has 258 rushing attempts with 1,395 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, and 14 touchdowns. Receiving-wise, he has 63 receptions for 537 yards and 7 touchdowns. He also has 3 fumbles on the season all around. Christian McCaffrey is a dog. His cards are up right now for a very, very good reason. As of buying, selling, or holding him right now, I think it might be a good time to sell Christian McCaffrey. I think it might be a really good time to sell Christian McCaffrey. The running back market is a really hard market, and cards at least to hold a lot of value in the long term. The only way you want to hold him now is if he somehow miraculously wins the MVP or if they win the Super Bowl. As for McCaffrey right now, I would probably sell him.
I agree. I mean, listen, I love C-Mac. I play a lot of, DraftKings and daily fantasy. It's my background where I kind of came from. And I love the guy. Anybody that plays fantasy loves the guy and is very aware of the guy. But you hit it right on the head, Gilly. Running back value we don't set the rules. It's just the way it is. And nobody holds values like quarterbacks. So not to say that other players, other cards aren't valuable. His stuff is valuable. But how much more valuable will it be when he retires or anything else? And if you're not going to do that, if you're buying now, you're really buying in hopes that he wins the MVP or that he wins the Super Bowl. And I've always been a believer in selling on the hype. And right now his hype is through the roof. So I am also a seller on Christian McCaffrey. I think this is like one of those periods where a ton of people are talking about him. It was great for his career that he went from the Panthers to the 49ers. Bigger market, everything all together. But I think you hit it on the head, bro. If he was a quarterback, I'd say buy because he's got years. But one thing he's got going for him, you just don't like. He played 100% of the snaps last week. Granted, they lost, but he played 100. You just don't see that these days. There's not a lot of running backs who are playing like that.
Absolutely not.
What, 20? I don't even remember. 20. I'm trying to think when my niece was born because that's really when I really got into DraftKings and all that. Back then, you had Le'Veon Bell and these dudes, right? Like real David Johnson. Look what happened to them. Nah, I'm not saying that's going to happen to McCaffrey, but it could. And at the very least, on a micro scale, that could at least happen to his value. Is anyone going to talk about McCaffrey the way they talk about Brady or any of these other quarterbacks when McCaffrey retires? I just don't know.
It's hard to say, but as of now, he's probably the best running back of this generation.
Absolutely.
Bar for bar.
And for that purpose, if you bought in early, great. If you're trying to make a quick flip and you want to bet on them winning the Super Bowl, which I think is a fair bet. I mean, they look pretty legit. Or even just the MVP. There's an opportunity there. There's risk, but there's opportunity. But I don't know how much more his card is actually going to increase where you make a marginal income. And if you've already have his card, because you got it from a Hit Parade box like we have, which are phenomenal, or you just got it from back in the day, it's probably worth a lot more than when you bought it. So yeah, I would say it's a pretty good time to sell it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know my brother has like one or two. All right. So speaking of running backs, we're going to talk about another running back that I've actually seen get him compared to a lot, which is Alvin Kamara, because they had very similar numbers, like career-wise. So we're going to be talking about Alvin Kamara here. Specifically, his 2017 Prizm Silver. We have a cat here. Everyone say hi to my cat. So the 2017 Prizm Silver, Alvin Kamara, 291 PSA 10, which is a pop 913 for the last 6 months, has seen a growth of 11.08% over 40 sales. The average price in this time frame is $34. The low being 17, the high at 52, and the current price is at 39.99. Kamara is typically a top 5 running back year in and year out. This year he's kind of having more of a down year than usual, but you could attribute that to like his team not being as good. This year, as of December 28th, he has 170 rushes for 649 yards, averaging 3.8 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns. Receiving wise, he has 73 receptions for 462 yards and 1 touchdown. With Kamara, he's not really getting a lot of he's getting a good amount of receiving yard, good amount of rushing yards, but he's not getting like a crazy amount. He's more of an all-purpose back, which I like. At the price he's at now, I would wait for a little bit more of a dip, and I think I would buy him for the fact of I personally think that I don't think he's going to be a Saint next year. He's going to go to a different team. And if he goes to a different team, especially with a good O-line, you can see a resurgence here for Kamara. And I think he could maybe make a nice 30, 40 bucks off of these PSA 10s per, in my personal opinion. Because if you look at the Saints cap situation, even if they cut Derek Carr, they're still $50 million over the cap. That team is literally so screwed. They're in cap hell. So that someone's got to break there. They're going to be getting rid of players. So I think Kamara is going to be one of the ones on the cutting board.
I think that's a pretty sharp take. I would say hold, right? Because like I don't really like to bet on the speculation. I think you're right. I think he will end up on another team, and I think that's exactly what I would be looking for to sell. Like if I already have a nice amount of Kamara, like short print stuff, I'm praying he gets traded or cut or just re-signs with a different team, and I'm selling on that hype, right? Say he signs with I don't care who it is, the fucking Panthers. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Ravens, whatever. Ravens would be a good one. If he went to the Ravens, I'm not waiting to see what happens. I'm selling at that point, right? I'm going to sell the hype on that because the hype's going to be ridiculous. 2 things that have been killing Alvin Kamara's career upside. He's just as talented as anyone in the league. There's 2 things. Number one, for whatever reason, maybe there's something about him that we don't know. He's never had the same workload as a Christian McCaffrey. Even as a Rashad White, we were seeing Rashad, he's always had to split carries. In the beginning of his career, it was Mark Ingram. Now he's doing it with Jamal Williams. They also have that rookie who, when Jamal Williams got hurt, they were working him in. And the biggest factor of what's really hurting Alvin Kamara, whether it's fantasy sports, whether it's the hobby, touchdowns is what people want. And when you got Taysom Hill in there, snaking touchdowns, 50% of the time you're in the red zone, or even the opportunities, it's gonna tamper, the expectation of what you think you can do there. So I think he's extremely talented, and I mean not for nothing, but you went from having Drew Brees as your quarterback to now Derek Carr, but
Derek Carr,
you're taking a massive hit in efficiency. It's a massive hit in efficiency, even in terms of like the defense. When a defense is playing Drew Brees' team, they can't afford to just peel their ears back and stop the run because you're worried about Drew Brees beating you. When you lose that threat, and now teams all of a sudden are more worried about you beating them, and they're just going to try to stop the run, again, they're kind of putting you in a tough spot, and these quarterbacks that New Orleans haven't really made other defenses pay. So I would be at a hold because I think you're right. I think that there's potential for him. I mean, you could even call it a small buy. I personally, like I said, how I feel about running backs, but I do think you're right about that. I think there will be a window. If he ends up on a different team, there'll be a window where you can make a quick flip on him, for sure.
Yeah, I think there'd be I think so personally. I'll tell you why this is interesting. The 2014 Prizm Silver Joel Embiid, number 253, Pop 86. This is why it's interesting. Has seen a growth of plus 3.55% over the last year on 21 sales. I did the last year as opposed to 6 months because there is such a big discrepancy with the low pop count. This time frame, the average price has been $965.73. The low 57,981. The high at 1,600, which I'm assuming was around when he won MVP. And the current price is $875. He has been lighting it up, looking to defend his MVP title and hopefully get his first NBA title this year. As of when this episode is being posted on December 28th, he is currently averaging 35 points a game on 54% shooting, 11.7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.2 steals a game, and 2 blocks a game. But Embiid, there's no reason to buy him now. If you find this card raw, you get a good deal on it, you buy. But as of now, that's pretty goddamn high. I don't really see this card going up that crazy unless he wins a championship. But he has to win like an MVP with the championship. I'm not buying this card right now. That's just me though.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
I think it would help if he needs to win a championship. For this card to be worth anything, I mean, there's been so much hype around Embiid for so many years. He needs to win. That being said, what he's doing this year statistically is fucking wild, and maybe it's
It's
because of the team
insane
he's
as
with,
fuck.
but he is putting up absurd numbers. So it puts you in a weird spot because his value is obviously not floor level value. It's like steadily rising because of the stats he's putting up. You got people who play fantasy sports and betting, and he's making the money, so they love him. But in terms of like long term value, he's gonna have to win. So that's gonna come down to if you're buying Embiid, you're betting that he's gonna win a ship. And I know it's a bad bet. You know, I would like to eventually see him do it, or he could end up being this generation's Patrick Ewing and just never quite get there.
Miss a floater.
Just a floater.
Embiid, yeah. I agree with what you just said there with Embiid, 100%. I agree with what you said there, 100%. All right, so we're gonna go into usually it's the top five of the week. It's been a slower week because of Christmas and all that stuff, and everyone's on the, you know, everyone's preparing for Prizm. So we're gonna go to our top hit of the week, which Joshua pulled. CK pulled it himself. This is for Josh. Bryce Young, downtown. Out of all the downtowns, I like the design on this one. Out of most of them, this one was pretty cool. So
Beauty. I get
straight beauty.
I listen. You pulling. This is where you're looking for Bryce Young, regardless of what the season he's having. He's one of the players you're looking for. Can't hit his autos in these products, licensed anyway, and this is a downtown. It's a case hit. It's a short print. This is exactly what you're looking for, regardless of how you feel about Bryce Young's season. As far as his season goes, not gonna lie, I get a little bit of Zach Wilson vibes at times. You know, a little bit. He's got some things going against him, but not every quarterback gets put in the best situation, like a Brock Purdy. You know, and that's not a knock on Purdy. I think Purdy is a good player, but you can't tell me that his situation was set up a lot better than someone like Bryce Young when you look at star power and everything else that comes with it. So I'm not, obviously I'm not impressed with what I've seen from Young, but I'm not totally discouraged either. I mean, even Zach Wilson, I think Zach Wilson in a better system, a better team, I think things would have turned out differently for him. When he went to the Jets, who gave him no offensive line, who gave him no real weapons, no real guidance, no great offensive coaching. He's really had nothing. So it's like, situationally. But as far as this year goes, I was pumped to pull it. I think it was a sealed case of Donruss Blasters. We were down. We had pulled like 3 or 4 crunch times, and we were down to like the last box or the second to last box, and I thought we were getting panini. I was like, here we go. They're gonna give me like 4 or 5 of these crunch cards, and they're not gonna give me a downtown. And then bing boom, we're listening to room. We hit it.
Yes, sir. All right. So for our picks of the week, I'm going Rams over Giants. All the Giants just lose out at this point. There's no reason. The Rams are going to beat them anyway. The Rams are too hot right now.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs, man. I think now there's some injuries that are pending here. I know Pacheco I don't expect to play. Edwards-Helaire is questionable with an illness, but I expect him to play. Not that I think he's any good. But it's more L'Jarius Sneed that I'm really monitoring here. Number one, I think Mahomes is due for a bounce back. Number two, Cincinnati's defense is like the stone nut worst in the league right now. They are bad. They're really, really bad. And the Chiefs' defense, I think, is legitimately good. And I think that, assuming Jamar Chase is out, which I think everybody expects Jamar Chase to be out. I know he practiced in limited capacity, but I think everybody expects him to be out for at least a game or two. That means you got just T. Higgins as your passing threat, and they have an answer. They have one cornerback who's pretty damn good. So assuming L'Jarius Sneed plays, I think he shadows T. Higgins, and Kansas City can be a very tough place to play for young quarterbacks. So I'm going Kansas City bounce back -7.
All right, Danny, where are we going with this, brother?
I get the Bucks over Saints. You know, um,
Bucks or Saints?
Baker.
yeah, yeah, it's a division game. I think the Bucks are gonna pull that one out.
They definitely seem to have more of the mojo going right now. Like you're hearing all
Yeah,
kinds of reports, like
Bucks, yeah.
the players
listen,
don't
Mike.
like Carr and like all this kind of shit, and you're hearing the opposite about Baker. You're hearing that
Yeah,
Baker's a dog, Baker's a winner. You're hearing like totally different sentiments about him. So I
I
actually
don't,
like
I
that
don't
more.
know if I don't know if I just been around Tom too much or something like that. But I've been a Baker guy. I don't know. I don't know.
You've definitely been around Tom too
Now the,
much, but
the the
the
Saints
Baker
fans
stuff is
don't even
legit.
like
Yeah,
the Saints fans don't like Carr. The Saints fans do not like Carr. I know a couple of Saints
Forget about the
fans, they hate
fans.
him. I've
My
heard some like
understanding
crazy
is a
clips on
lot of the
Twitter.
players don't like him. Like the
Yeah, that
fans, yeah,
too.
that's
I
one
know
thing.
they hate his ass.
I'm hearing that the players don't like him. That's a problem. You know what I mean?
It's a huge problem. Huge, huge,
Yo,
huge.
what are you doing,
All
bro? Your
right,
cat
so
came in and
that's
you got
gonna
all weird.
no. My cat was I was like looking because like he was about to knock over my thing.
Okay,
He's about to
okay.
knock over my camera. Yeah,
I
no,
was
my
thinking
cat's
like,
definitely
all right, either the cat just farted in his face or it's about to knock something over that he doesn't want to get knocked over, which definitely
no,
had this
that's what's
whole like,
happening. No, I'm looking at his face right now. He's like he's getting in that spiteful mode where he wants something. So I got to wrap this up. Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so yeah, as always, if you guys are watching on YouTube, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It would be very much appreciated for me and my cat. As you see, he's licking my face right now. Chris, you have anything you want to add?
nah, man, I'm excited for Prizm, but I'm excited for these hit parade cases we got going on here. I'm excited for more Bowman. Come check us out. You can join the Facebook group, Card Breakers, or easier, just go to the website, card-breakers.com.
Yes, sir. As always, from me, from Chris, from Danny, not Tom today. Have a great rest of your day, nation.
And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.